And of these three, they're the top three on the stack. Aptigee is the one that I've chosen to ask to go with, and there's a number of reasons for that, but right now, we do have the representative from Aptigee here. If you'd like to step up to the microphone and push the button, make it green.
It's already green.
And this is Kaylee Partain, and she's the rep from Aptigee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me this evening. Yes, I provided everyone with handouts for just kind of our scope and what we do whenever we work with municipalities. We are a Little Rock-based company. That's where we started whenever we began our company around 11 years ago at this point. And I personally have worked with over 100 municipalities across the U.S. And so any chance I get to work with Arkansas cities and towns, it's my favorite thing to do, and I really appreciate it. So I personally have worked with the city of Springdale, West Fork, Mena, Sherwood, and a couple others, just to rattle off the top of my brain. But I know Randy and I have had many conversations about how do we make the website easier to navigate for residents, and how do we make it easier to navigate for your team. Mainly working with smaller cities, I know that not everyone can be dedicated to pushing out community updates and updating the website. And so with the back end that we've built, we've been able to kind of make that as streamlined as humanly possible, pushing out to not only the website, but a mobile app that we'll build out that residents can download and keep up with live updates, council agendas, events that are going on, all that kind of good stuff. It's right there in their pocket of their smartphone that majority of people have these days. So that's kind of my spiel. I won't go through every single page with you, but I provided it there for you. And yeah, would love the opportunity to represent Cave Springs and also have Cave Springs represent Apogee. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do y'all have any questions?
Questions?
The reason I'm asking for Aptigee, they're not the cheapest, but they're not the most expensive. Aptigee is local, and I say local, they're an Arkansas company, and as you can see, she's here to visit with us today. The one that is a little less expensive is also headquartered in Michigan. They've only got 2 cities in northwest Arkansas, both of which recently went to them. And looking at the sites, I don't like the quality that I saw there as well. Plus, in the event that you do need someone or need service, it's good to have someone close by. And if you look at Springdale's, and the other 2 cities are Centerton and Bella Vista that's on the other one, Springdale is on theirs, and I'm not sure about the other cities in this area, but I know the other of the big 4 are all on Civic Plus, like we are. And so I thought there was a significant, the one at Springdale looks significantly nicer. And in addition to that, their app is part of the overall package, and the other company will sell you apps, but they're not, they started out doing apps, and a lot of theirs is, Aptigee's is designed to go with their website. The other company, you can buy apps, and they will determine and build what you need with apps. Theirs, through their app, has the push capabilities, so we wouldn't have to do the emergency civic ready deal anymore. And when you look at what it's currently costing us through Civic Plus, they would actually save us about $1,400 a year going with Aptigee. So that's the reason I leaned that direction. But you've got the information in your packet to review, and that's kind of what we'll be bringing at the next council meeting.
So we don't have to have an app to access this?
No, you can do it from your computer, but for those people who aren't at home and on the computer much, that have other sources of information. When you have an app as opposed to just loading the website on your phone, it's designed more to fit the phone and for easy use with the phone, and so it works better.
It's okay. Everything I do is on my phone, and I recently deleted Facebook off my phone completely, and so I wasn't getting city news or updates on anyone's lives or anything like that. And so I was lucky that North Little Rock, they went through us to build out their app, and so now I can know about road closures and events that are going on ahead of me having to drive through town every day. So yeah.
So the first 400 pages is zero cost, but after that, how much it is?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The first 400 pages is at zero cost for migration. How much is it after the first 400? I mean, it is more than 400 documents.
So on the last page of the handout that I provided, our annual cost per year is $5,900, and then the setup and development is $2,900, and at renewal there's a typical 1 to 5% increase year over year.
The 400 pages are web pages. They're not documents like we may store on there that people can.
Well, I said 400 pages batch documents.
Okay. He's asking about what's it cost after 400 pages.
You can have an unlimited amount of pages on our website, or that we house in documents. So yeah, we don't have a limit on there. Of course. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, appreciate the time. I drove up here from Little Rock this afternoon. I'm about to make the trip back home, so I really appreciate your time this evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to shift a little bit from the agenda because we've got one council member that should be here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and she wants to hear the planning information. So, the next item that I'm going to go to is the item 5. It is the item for the franchise fees. And the first one, and these will be very similar, but the first one is Black Hills Energy. And in your packet, there are examples of the actual resolutions, ordinances. And the first one is, it tells right in the second line near the left, it's for Black Hills Energy. And these are our franchise fees are determined and set up based on the use of our right-of-ways and easements for the particular, usually it's a utility company, and for this maintenance and repair and setting up the processes and everything. This is usually done with any city through the franchise agreements. And that these, I don't remember, do you know how old yours was?
It was pretty old. I think in the 80s, it's been a little bit since I looked at here. A lot of them were going back to Arkansas Western gas days.
Right.
It's a little unusual, but Arkansas, their franchise agreements are in perpetuity, so it was pretty old.
Right, until you change it, it stays the same, and that can get pretty old and outdated. Yes, she's with Black Hills, so if you'd like to introduce yourself to the group. she saw this on the agenda and came in today. Do you have anything you would like to tell them?
Good evening, I'm Robin Mizell with Black Hills Energy. I work out of Fayetteville, but serve all of Arkansas and live pretty close to here. We worked with Justin, your attorney, on this, so appreciate the opportunity to review it, and we didn't have any changes. We had worked with him over the past year in Town, so this template draft that you have was almost identical to a lot that we had worked through with him on Town. You know, we don't love it when communities increase their franchise fees because it goes back to residents or customers. And so Justin indicated that you're discussing starting this January 1, and we would put a bill message to the Cave Springs residents. We try to be real transparent about bills, and if they have questions to call City Hall. So that's kind of how that works. It's
Was that a fair description that I gave?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Right away. That's my work.
And I know that we've got one, not them, we've got one provider that's trying to ride on someone else's, and they have come in and not followed our guidelines because they didn't have a franchise and didn't know what they were. And they actually bored a couple of streets without permits before we called them and got them stopped. And when they did one of them, they did it too shallow, so there's a ridge across the road now. And that's being addressed, but it's, that's part of the reason as well, because there are rules and guidelines set up in here that they can then know what's expected of them, and they don't have an excuse if they're out doing those things.
Should this not say about the rates that are out there?
And we're
Consent
instruct, that's the, yeah, it should work on the first franchise agreement. That's Black. And I'll make that note so we can get that edited. But we
So,
did.
the one that did the meeting is not one of these three?
No, and they are going to be getting one. But it's not in these three yet. And I will say, that the electric company and both of these electric companies will be, it's for the same reasons, the same speech that was just given applies to all of them. One's just the gas company, the other two are electric companies. They all use our right-of-ways and easements, they all bore our roads. And there's, I know one of the phone companies, and they'll be coming later, makes a concerted, intentional effort to put their lines in the right-of-ways rather than getting easements, because roads aren't expanded that often and they rarely have to move them. But when they do, that's the added cost that they expect for getting by cheaper most of the time. And that's the way their management is planned. So, but they do follow the rules, and they do board roads and do the things they're supposed to. So, those three, that's kind of the, any questions over those? Now, we will take a step back to the planning and go ahead and have David bring his planning report.
Good evening. You don't mind if I sit and say that? Maybe we will your computer and facilitate that way here. Got Derek with us here for governance. We planning commission met last week. We had a few items on the docket. One, we'll see at the top of the various requests for Aaron Dormore's property located at 579 Ford Lane, Big Springs. No, it's not very close to there, so yeah. All right, is that better?
Yeah, that's
Okay, sorry. Parcel ID was 05100136-000. This was a request for variance of lot dimensions to allow for better subdivision layout and street connectivity. And the planning commission voted unanimously to approve this variance request on the condition that the property goes through the rezoning process with city council.
So what kind of variance do they ask?
Lot dimensions, the biggest thing is their depth because of the layout that because of the shape of the lot, it's narrow long. If they didn't get a depth variance request, essentially it keeps one street without the capability of having homes on either side. So they just like a road with only homes on one side, and it makes it kind of unfeasible. My computer does not seem to be acting right, so let's see if this works out. The other item was the preliminary plat for Trillium subdivision. This was the property located adjacent to Murdoch Road, Big Springs. Parcel ID on these.
David, can I hold you up 1 second on this one? I guess I thought you were pulling something up. I am concerned about this one.
Okay.
You could say that, on the other side of the road, on Rainbow, we approved that, but then you only have Ridgewood and then this new one going up on the other side. This side, you have Brentwood, Hillcrest, down the road. On Brown, we have that one that got rezoned for smaller lots, and we put all this red and orange again, and you can say, yes, we'll plan for it, but I saw what happened in Hillcrest, and it wasn't done well. So that is very much my concern about putting more homes in the area. There's feedback here, so all my business. That is my concern, putting more homes in that area, because I'm going to say the density is already that area, just Brentwood, Hillcrest, that area is already the most residentially dense, as we've talked about before in previous planning or in the council meetings. So I am apprehensive about rezoning this to an R3, because we don't even have Hillcrest built up yet, and we saw the problems with drainage that Hillcrest had. So I just wanted to express that.
Okay.
The lot adjustment, how much setback are they asking?
The setbacks will be standard setbacks. Yeah, there's the density per acre. They're not asking for a higher density per acre. So like they're going to meet, kind of like what you're saying, if you're worried about the number of homes won't exceed the 4 lots per acre that are 3 lots for. They've looked at getting a bill of insurance with the city attorney and filing statements as such. So
what kind of variance are they asking?
it's the depth of the lot as a whole. So like the R3 lot depth, if they can shrink that a little bit on all the lots.
That's something, how much they're asking, how many
feet?
Yeah, I didn't bring that stuff here. Okay. I mean, if the applicants want to speak to it, because y'all will be looking at rezoning later, we can talk about it now. I mean, this is the variance for planning commission, we can talk about it now later. rezone.
Because that's 100 homes then, correct? You're looking at about 100 homes, because you said 4 per acre, and it's 25.55 acres, so that's 100 extra homes going in with Brentwood that already has 100 homes. And Hillcrest that has, I want to say 125, Brentwood has more than that, and then another 100 homes.
Do you know the number of lots that's projected or predicted?
Yes, sir. Taylor Lindley with Craft and Toll Associates. Right now, our current concept has 90 lots. R3 zoning is allowed for the future land use map in this area. We originally were trying to request R4, which match Hillcrest. Hillcrest is R4, but then pulled back that request to the R3 to match the current future land use map. The depth variance that we requested is approximately 12 feet on 3 or 4 of the rows of homes. And to David's point, it's the width of the existing lot doesn't allow for an equal number of rows of homes. So you have one row of homes that have a street on either side if we don't get that lot depth variance, which doesn't work very well. So that was the reason for the variance and the planning commission's approval of it. But I can answer any other questions, yeah.
But David, this is for the variance as well as the R3, correct? For the next session?
No, just the rezone.
Summary proposal,
Yeah.
A1 to R3. that's-
Well, I mean, it's conditional on the rezone. Like, it can't happen unless it's rezoned. Yes, but you're not making a determination on the variance at all.
Yeah, your vote is strictly on the design.
That's it, perfect.
Where will the detention pond be?
The low area is on the west side of the site, so kind of southwest corner, more or less. The west side of the site where there's kind of a low area that works its way further west from there.
So when it overflows, it goes over on the neighbor's property, right?
It would go in the current path that the water is flowing today, yes.
Are there homes on the other side of that could be affected by that water?
We're not adjacent to any existing subdivisions immediately. I think a couple parcels over, it gets into
No,
some.
it's just regular homes. There's no
It's in cow pastures right now.
Yes.
outpastures, right?
I mean, there's things to tell that there may be subdivisions in the future, but if they are, it will be there and they'll be working with it.
We'll be required to design the detention to meet the drainage manual's requirements.
4 years, we got another year's flood.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything more on this? Sorry, this is not going to work out. Yes, the preliminary plat for Petroleum subdivision, this is the one that's been going on for a while. The applicant had requested to table this based on some work they were doing on their offsite utilities. So at this point, we're just kind of looking at it, seems like that. There was the rezoning for Darrell and Teresa Bush. This is the same property, 579 Ford Lane. Planning Commission voted unanimously to affirm the rezoning request, and then it's on to y'all, which is what you're looking at this month that we discussed. And of course, we had the FLU and MSP maps. We've got a new set of maps that's been delivered to y'all in this packet. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to affirm these with conditions of some changes we made at that meeting. They've been reflected and sent out, and that's what y'all have to believe tonight. So, city council items, y'all rezone that we just discussed. If there's, any other questions you have on that, we can.
Was this Mr. Thornwell? Is that you?
Sorry.
He was the engineer, right?
I'm the engineer record, correct, representing the rezone for.
Okay. I just want to be sure because two different groups of people on the same property, the developer and the owner,
Yes. Roughly, yes.
current property owner.
Yes, yeah, so current property owners and the rest of the reason. Correct. General updates, we've been working on a couple of different projects. The project we submitted in conjunction with the Illinois River Watershed, the legacy project for next year's CMU that I spoke about in the last meeting, that was one of the projects that was accepted for the standing conference. So we've had a meeting with the watershed, with the mayor of Madison, and we're kind of looking at next steps moving forward, how we want to work all that out. So we'll probably hear a little bit more about that going forward. And then the bigger thing is the downtown master plan. Of course, we were the APA one of the year at the dual state conference in St. Louis back at back in September, I believe, was the first day. But that's the Arkansas Planning Association's chapter of the American Planning Association. They have conferences each year. Last year they had a 4-state conference. This year was a dual state conference with Arkansas, Missouri, and we were awarded this at that conference. So it's just kind of a recognition of the work we did on the downtown master plan and all that we did to plan for the future works.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When these subdivisions are developed, does the city take over the streets?
We take this street dedication and we don't accept drainage detention pond dedications, but we take street lights and streets. And street lights are only if they use the lights that are maintained by the power company.
So, if something happened with the streets, vehicles, whatever,
Yeah, after the warranty period.
that brings up what I want.
Yeah, and we've got some things to cover there next month, some substantial. So, but that's just a brief commercial. I don't have it all together yet. Okay.
I just have one more question. Did you verify that Cal Pasture, whoever owns that land, they were contracted with the rezone request or the public hearing? All those people that own that land, even though there's no home there, they were sent a mailer about that, correct?
They all should have been sent a mailer, everyone within 200 feet. We put the signs out, we put the size of the paper, we put all those.
Yes. Okay. Well, I just wondered with the Cal Pasture, because there's no resident there, you said.
They won't get mail matters, even if they're vacant properties, and they still get sent a mailer.
Okay. Just wondering that. Thank you.
You send out a mailer,
The applicants, yes, sir.
are they
Yes,
sent
certified.
certified?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, usually we
Or
get
service?
the green tags, or your copies, that I'll accept, either sometimes they scan and send it to us, vice versa, sometimes they can't. But yes.
Thank you.
And then the next item is the map itself.
This isn't working, obviously, so unfortunately, we can go over some of the proposed changes that were made at the recent planning commission meeting, as far as what would be changes from the map that y'all previously saw. There's just kind of that south, east area that where the majority of the changes took place. I think other than, and you can see those on the maps that y'all have in front of you, and the Derek's got a blank map right there. I think one of the only changes that we made outside of the southeast area was up on the Willard Lane, we had a collector street shown in the back to Willard, and then it shot up to Scoggins, and we took that out entirely.
Do you have a summary of all the changes?
Yes, it should be like with these maps in front of you. Looks like this is a summary of the changes.
I just got it.
It looks like this.
Should be right in front of you with maps.
Summary should up there. Thank you.
So this summary is a summary of changes from the very beginning, like what is written out. What is on the maps is just a summary of changes from the previous map that was here. You know, it was already passed on from the planning commission. So on the southwest corridor, you can see we started with number 2. Well, we can, if you go to one page, let's start with that. There's number 1. You can see where it says they added a proposed neighbor's collector connection up on Sands Road. This is essentially just a realignment of Sands to make it more traversable, you know, in the future if that property develops. There's been some discussions about development in that area, so we wanted to show a better road connection point actually going through that subdivision and actually being a collector like we kind of envision Sands in the future. And we move to the next one, you go to number 2. And there is an area that was neighborhood residential, kind of between Lowell and East Johnson. And the commission wanted to extend that transitional mixed-use corridor that is in that kind of downtown core. And typically works well along the highways, just up along those fronts of those properties on Lowell Avenue /364. A lot of those properties are either homes that are for sale or older existing homes, and some that you can easily see transitioning into, you know, a mix of commercial, residential, things like that. Number 3, it's right behind that, change that area to neighborhood residential. It was just residential medium density before, so where that NR was existing to the west, it extended from the park on over down Johnson to Clayton. Number 4 was.
Is that not already residential?
It is, yes. Just, you know, if it redevelops or someone was looking to buy some things and change something in there. Well, it was residential medium density, so more like a subdivision, you know, basic lot size residential. This is the neighborhood residential is more traditional downtown neighborhood, maybe a mix of different housing types and things like that. So number 4 was we changed the area to public institution. This is the cemetery. The cemetery was previously under REM, so we just went in and changed it to PI public institution. And then we added a collector from Johnson to 264, adjacent to the park right there. The only street, you know, running between those two is that 3rd Street, and its topography can be a little rough. They're going to try to exit out, you know, onto Lowell. So this collector was added right there. It makes sense that people wanting to get to the park, things like that, that, you know, in the future the city, you know, wanted to put a road in or somebody wanted to develop, you know, we can get that right on dedicated, you know, look at putting the actual north-south connection in there.
Is the parking clean on there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the park is the green square that is running right adjacent to.
So this is a future land use map, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I always think of the future of being a little farther out. But if somebody wants to come in and do something to the property and everything, they're gonna use this map, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So it's not really a future land use map, it's a current map.
Well, it's not the zoning
Like
map.
to see there.
Yes, yeah. It's what you project happening in that area in the future. So I ask people to come in and ask for things, to guide development, rezoning requests, things like that.
It's kind of like the time when we used a park and a recreation for campers. Back a few years ago, down at the trailers. That's what the planning commission said, it met the use, current use maps for a park and recreation.
Okay.
But it was to put trailers, camper, to extend the campsites, trailer sites. So you can really do whatever you want with this, right?
Well, it has to meet the trailer
You
parks.
changed it now, so it can be changed again, just willy-nilly.
Well, the maps can be
Any other
changed,
law?
yes. The maps can be changed. But, like, referencing the trailer park, or the RV park.
What you said?
I said it's like, this isn't law, it's a plan, it's a policy, but it can be changed like our laws and our resolutions. Everything y'all do can be changed.
Well, we didn't change that before, we used it anyway, so.
And
That's
these,
my opinion.
yeah, and it's been made, several times, these are not zoning, they're not laws. They are a guideline, they're a plan. It's a 20-year plan. The original one was for 2040. Some of these roads ain't there, and they're not gonna be there, and they may never be there, but it's what we envision it could do over the next 20 years.
I understand that.
You all are able to use it as a resource the day after you adopt it. Like the mayor says, you can use it as a resource to help make your decisions on zoning applications that come your way. And the planning commission can use it on zoning recommendations and development requests, that sort of thing. So that once it's adopted and then on into the future.
And the street connections. If you see a street connection that's needed in the future, we would require that road to be adopted in order to be built out to the standard that we have classified as.
Just a quick little background on the timeline, just looking back towards the summer, this summer. I did want to just mention back on July 21, that's when the Planning Commission first recommended the earlier iteration of the map. And then you all looked at it in July and August. And then on August 26th, that's when you sent it back to the Planning Commission, and I think it was great that you did. I think that they did not take the opportunity lightly. They looked at it over the next couple of meetings, and then discussed it on the 15th of September, and then as well on October 6th, which results in the numbered items that are on those exhibits.
Would this also be a guide where we're not getting as many PCD requests?
This won't affect the PCD request, it's more of the zoning code. So the zoning code is going to affect the PCD requests. Once we actually put into place some of these zones that allow for some of these different, like mixed uses, things like that, like that'll solve that.
This map though can help the city move forward. I think whenever you are ready to update zoning, I think this can help you update zoning in a more efficient, I think quicker way than we've seen the FLU progress, because you can look at this for guidance, and instead of thinking about every color of the rainbow, you can truly think, what are the particular zoning, districts that might be appropriate for these areas. Excellent. We're gonna go over the.
Yeah. So if you look at number 6, there is a proposed neighborhood collector that is drawn in on the western side of the map and the city's limits. This goes over to Brown Road, loops kind of around the Brewer property and up to Garden Lane. This was something the planning commission was really, when we're looking at it, trying to alleviate a little bit of east-west and the north-south connectivity, if there was something like that could be done. So, number 7 was, we had an area where we had extended some of the blue neighborhood transition down, and it was actually changed and pushed back up to where it was at previously on the existing map we currently have adopted. So it's essentially no change, but we had proposed to drop it down and then took it, kind of scaled it back, and then put the residential medium density kind of general subdivision, future land use, category.
One question, and that is what is proposed for the A1 to R3 that we're looking at voting on, correct? Since
Yes,
the crest is
yes,
right
yes.
across.
Yes.
So that would be that whole red square, would be the R3.
It's not all of that, no, it's just the top right-hand corner as you look at it.
That would be R3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Number 8 was, there was a proposed neighborhood collector running from Clayton to Ford. On the previous map that was brought before y'all, there was discussion of whether or not we wanted to take that off, let that be something that could just be filled in with local streets. But local streets still do have a lot of homes that dump out and things like that. And it was kind of determined that it would be best to keep that as a collector if we ever did want to get an actual east-west connection between Clayton and Ford. Something that needs to go on the ground. So that was left as a collector. But there was a north-south collector drawn in from Brown to East Oil /264. So that's the one you see running from Brown. It goes up adjacent to the green residential estates, kind of jogs over onto the back side of what we were just discussing, the rezoning, and then it goes along the property lines up to Highway 260.
Was that not in the peak area there off of East Louisville? That collector coming down, if approximately east of the Apostrophe?
Yes, sir. It's pretty significantly east. I mean, I'd say it's 4 or 5 properties east. So
Where the woods is?
it is what it is. Yeah, there's nothing in there right now currently, I believe. The other change that was looked at that we felt was something that was a pretty significant, good change that we hadn't, I don't think, ever looked at before, was a proposed neighborhood collector connection. We talked about number 9, where Fields Lane comes up and then ties into East Brown Road. There was discussion of, in the future, if you can, why would you not take Fields, bring it over and align it with Floyd? And eliminate, kind of another intersection and actually line those up. So that was a new one that was changed, and then the Fields Lane road itself was changed to a neighborhood collector. I don't think we've ever classified it as anything other than local, but in going forward, there's definitely potential that it's going to be utilized for people to go south to get to Wagon Wheel and and shoot over to 112, you know, whatever it may be, shoot, you know, take my rules to the highway, you know, take it down to 112, get to the new intersection exchange.
Do you anticipate ever having to use eminent domain to put in these collectors?
Do I anticipate having to use what?
Eminent domain to put in these collectors? Do you foresee that in some manner?
So it's up to the city, you know, but your hope is that most of this happens through development. You know, you want to have these in where there's ever property sold, and if it develops, you're guiding where you want these to go. And, you know, they're not set in stone, and they can vary a little bit as far as, you know, if the topography is just slightly better over here, they want to shift it, and someone still wants to put this collector in. You know, that's something that, you know, typically the cities are okay with and work with. A better example of that would be the one on Sand Road where it moves through instead of taking the two dog kind of 9-degree corners. You know, if that was to develop, you know, then we could potentially get a collector through there. But I don't think it's something the city is looking at for eminent domain. I would say that if something was done in the domain, it would be trying to upgrade the street. We felt like we needed to widen it. You know, we were having to work with the property owner to try and alleviate, you know, a width concern. But that's not the intent of it. The intent, and the reason why they're usually drawn where they are is to not do that. And you're right, or you want to at least get your right of ways to the
Prime example of how we try to do that, and it goes back to when I was on planning and on council, Rainbow Road, where that dog leg used to be with the subdivisions. That was created because Rogers required a certain density that you do a turn lane and on the offsite development with the subdivision, that you do the turn lane and the adjacent lane. And the subdivision there met their requirements, the one that was in Rogers. They upgraded 2/3 of the road and left the dirt road with the bridge missing. It used to be a county road with a wooden bridge, so everyone used that middle lane, the turn lane, as the northbound lane until development came on our side. And now with the development of the property north of it, it will now be full 3 lanes in alignment with the road on the other end. So a lot of that's done with development and through development to accommodate for the additional needs. That's the ideal way to do it. Yeah, and that's what we've done in the past. We haven't went out and done eminent domain for roads and things. I mean, the only time that I know we've used it in recent years was where there was one gap somewhere in a water line or a sewer line project. And other than that, we try not to, and we try not to in most cases.
Just curious. I'm not a trusted person.
Any other questions?
If you have anything, feel free to reach out and see what you know. Questions, concerns, comments?
So overall, it looks like they didn't change quite a bit. And this, when you bring like maps, this is really helpful instead of one huge thing like this where we can walk through and go to that one if needed. So I really do appreciate that was put in to make this more readable as opposed to putting that and putting it on a piece of paper like this. So, so that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
Like this.
I will say that is my fault. I do that one for your ordinance, but that's not meant to be your
Right.
example to go through.
No,
That's all.
but you don't know the entail of this. So that's why we have a planning director. And so that way, anybody, any residents want to see it, it's clearly drawn out. if you pay attention to the arrows, where they're going. And then having a summary of everything, this is the most detailed we've ever had it come to us. So I'm glad we did some of that. So it turned out good. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-52 from the last meeting. There has been some confusion. I mean, folks that were here for the most part that weren't confused. I had people in the back row tell me they heard it. But ultimately, there was reporting that the only one that could be heard was Mark when the vote came in. And then there was another recording that you couldn't really make out who it was, but you could hear about 3 different voices. So for the sake of clearing up any confusion, I'm going to ask y'all to state how you voted on this last week or a couple of weeks ago. And this is the actual budget amendment where we didn't make much change, but we did discuss it a little bit, and then we went to a vote. So just for the sake of clearing up how you voted, can we start with Mark and just mention how you voted?
Mayor, I can't take that. Because, I understand it's in a work session, but I don't know minutes for a work session. So to make the transparency, it needs to be done at a council meeting. So
It was.
Okay.
Okay. And I will.
When they do their stating that who voted, how who voted, that's great. But it does need to be done at a meeting to where it can be put down and noted in council minutes.
Well, we're not voting again because someone wasn't listening.
I understand. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Yes.
I would like for it to be done at a council meeting.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing maybe is at the council meeting when the minutes come out, the council can talk about that time, whether their vote is accurately reflected or not, and then they can.
And then amend it accordingly.
That's all. It's done at a council meeting versus a work session.
And I did send a note out to everybody, on that, a couple weeks ago, but every response I got is confirmed that they did vote, but I think we can just handle that at the meeting.
That'll work. Next time, while you were out, we jumped ahead and we got the franchise stuff taken care of. So the next item is the ordinance to rezone. Did you address that adequately in your report, or do you need additional?
I'll be addressing that without having any questions, and so I can hear you. But it's up to you.
If there's no additional questions, then the next item is the special call meeting. And if you would, we need to, I don't guess we even need to suspend the work session. We just completed the work session unless someone has a comment to make or anything like that.
And we can talk about franchise ordinances.
We already did, what I mentioned, we did that before you got here.
Can I make one, can I add something? I'm sorry. Right, after that, but, we have a number of the franchise ordinances. The plan is to, have those go into effect. The plan is to have those go into effect on December 1st, and on January 1st, to start the year with the new rates. So we have, in the package, we have, Swepco, Black Hills, Carroll, and Carroll Electric. And there's one that I sent you now because earlier today I had a phone conference with Brightspeed, which is the internet company. And I've been going back and forth quite a bit with them. They have a form or things that they use kind of nationwide. And I had some changes. And we had a number of their folks. They agreed to all the changes. So I have that one to add as well. It's a little bit of a different form, looks a little different, but it's the same. It's the same terms. The terms that we use in there are there. So I'm going to send that one to you by email. But that will be included. So just had that call earlier today, so I want to make that point, and I'll send that to you. If there's any questions about it, let me know. But we thought, I have verified for the thing, like, you'll be able to do this January 1. Everybody has said yes. So the plan will be after the October meeting. I'll send signed copies of the franchise ordinances to all the different folks and tell them to be ready for January 1, and they said they all be ready. So.
That's coming. It's in,
I know.
yes, it's in, it's in the special. Anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn the work session and to open the special meeting? Got a motion by, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Erica. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. So we did close our work session. We are now opening the special call meeting. Roll call.
Here.
Here.
JJ is out, Jerry is out, Mike. And it's.
Okay. And the first item on the agenda for the call meeting is the resolution to authorize the payment for the back IRS payroll tax. Do I hear a motion to approve? Got a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Erica, motion by Mike. Is there any discussion?
I just want to know what is this 4,720? What period is it for?
It's for, it tells up in the upper right corner, it's for March of 2024. It's the first quarter of 2024. It's not actually for March, it's for the first quarter.
I went back and looked at all of the payments that was made in 2024 because I have those with the confirmation numbers and all of our payments were made.
And I took those confirmation numbers and called the IRS and then credited both of them and said we still owe 10,000. It's actually 9,000 and something, and with the penalties it's 10,700.
Did you call any other confirmation numbers for the rest of the quarters?
I looked at the other quarters, I didn't go through all of the quarters.
Because they've all been paid.
Well, I'm going by what we have. Interest starts in 2 weeks.
Well, I'm saying they all have been paid, and I have the documentation to prove that they all have been paid with the confirmation numbers and the checks and the bank statements to show that they were being made.
Well, in March,
Mayor,
what?
Mayor, I think one of the things I want to point out is that we brought the statement last week to Landmark and looked at it and advised paying in order to avoid penalty. That's part of the scope of what they're doing, so we're going to know that pretty soon. And so I was just going to throw it out there that I'm not sure it's worth.
So obviously, if we pay it and we overpaid it, we get a money.
We get refunded. The part that I paid when we paid the $135,000, we had done it up there that following Tuesday just to, because the interest is compounded daily, and just to ensure that we didn't have any remainder, and we've gotten small checks back for those overages for those 2 days.
What I'm saying is, it will be independent to look at it now.
Right.
Yes.
And I just want to note that this is notice date, so the statement was printed October 6, 2025. So that's a big thing for me, that they just sent this notice this month. So if we end up overpaying, Landmark's gonna find it, they're gonna mark it, but as of right now, we owe money. So I don't think it would do the city any good to accrue interest when we already accrued a ridiculous amount of interest, and that's why Landmark is so important to get to the bottom of what is going on and if the IRS does owe us money. But with this date of October 6, 2025, they're saying we owe them money. So I think that would be the best interest of the city to pay it, so we don't start accruing interest. And then landmark do their thing, go through all the files, and if they find a discrepancy, then we have that documentation and why.
That's what I was saying, since they haven't, somebody looking at it, they do that. So
Exactly. I just wanted to point out the statement big balance, that it's right in front of us.
But that statement balance also shows that there's a lot of outstanding bills that's due for 2025, so
I didn't see that anywhere.
before that page.
Okay. Yeah, and we're aware of that. We're aware of what's going on there and the reasons.
So it's not just 2024.
Well, and as, let's just be transparent on the numbers. It says $249.68, and that was 8/18/2025. And when did we approve the check for over $136,000? When did we do that? That was around that time, right?
Yes.
And then we have another one on here from October 18th, 2025, and that shows $93.86 for a grand total. It's saying this year failure to pay only $343.54. So are we paying that as well today? Okay, we can wrap that up and get that straight. Or is that
That's the reason that it's not before you, that's the previous year. So this is back 2024, so we don't have those monies in the budget. So,
2025?
yeah, so the current is the part of looking at as well, want to make sure that that's all correct. Part of the goal of the landmark is not only to look back and verify, provide some report, it's also to make sure that it's correct going forward. So, but the issue, the reason why it's before you, at any amount is that it's the previous year.
And there are some, really you are right, there's a couple additional on the back that say $132.37. But the big one, so a possibility of what in 2025, 343, 432, there's some 2024 is on here too. So the big one is the $10,725.36. I don't know if there's any interest on that personally.
It's not from 2024,
That's correct.
that's not part of that $10,000, right?
The 10,000 is one that's.
Right, that's not from 2024, how they didn't add that to it, so it was pay all of it from UPC at one time.
You mean on the 135,000?
No, I'm saying the 10,000 right now, you have one, because we're gonna do everything from past year.
Right.
So the one from 2024, which is here, which is $562.86. How come we didn't pay that, so we don't have to pay interest? That's what we're trying to do today.
Right.
If we don't pay it, we fail to pay it, penalty, interest will continue. The failure to pay penalty will increase until it reaches 25% of the tax. If you just pay the tax, the penalty and interest both will be repeated while increasing. So it behooves us to pay this as quickly as possible.
I'm just saying that, can we add that 560?
I know what you're saying there, the top two there on the back.
Right, 500, can we just add it
Is
as?
that I'm sorry, see that talking about the $20 at the top?
No, it's showing that there is an amount due of 562.86 for the third quarter of 24, and an amount due of 575.17 for the fourth quarter. And then it shows an interest charge for both of those, so if we could add those to this, we could get previous year's cleaned up.
If the purpose of this is to get.
Right.
But then that second one goes from, it goes into,
That is the first quarter of this year, the second one, so it's just the
it's
first.
just the first one.
the 562.86 plus 1231.
Yep.
That's just already competing the interest fee that we tacked on. I mean, this said 10,725, that 36 is going to go back.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. This.
I'm not saying that the bottom line is on the front, the other stuff is just interest, that's interest that adds up to this. I don't see a need to pay more than 10,725. I mean, they make it clear how much we got, and we don't pay by the 27th, we'll go more.
Oh, so that's just the breakdown of that.
Yeah, it's
So
like
the
a
interest.
breakdown of interest that got tacked on. To be at 10,367, 28 million, it's 432.37. It comes out to the 10,725.36.
Either way, the number is not that much, 565, just, you know, not a lot of people.
I think Mark's saying that that number is already in the current.
Is that already part of it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's, you know, that.
That's what he said.
Look, it's actually, like, well, we're still looking at that. This is just. Yeah, that number, that, this number, that number.
That's what's that.
That number.
Okay. Makes sense.
And then it goes to say, Mark, I'm sorry.
I'll show you.
There, right.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Just, Mike, so these are all the accruals of interest. That's what it says if you go to this date. If you get this number, the interest, the bottom line is that number, you get that number.
So it's not only 40, that's $5.
That's got everything.
So it's interest through 25. That's not interest. That's interest on this one.
Okay, yeah, that's not us behind, that's the interest on this. From the previous year.
That makes sense.
And luckily it dropped from 80%.
Just, or a bit more. Any further discussion?
I really do understand what you're saying.
Oh, I understand that this is 100%, but I just want you all to know that there are confirmations of things that may. And I do understand what the council saying that if the IRS does say we owe it, and we have money that needs to be refunded or credit, then that's great. To stop continuing interest, I'm going to calm down, I get all of that. But I also want the council to be completely understanding that I do have all the payments and the confirmation of every payment that was made for this year, or for the year of 2024. I made 26 payments, and I have confirmation of every single one.
Understood.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Do you want to get the roll call on this?
We don't have to have a roll call. I agree.
I want to make sure it's clear because before we had
Right.
issues.
Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand, so it's in, okay, it passed.
Now, I know a lot of cities, they'll do a roll call on everything, whether it's a resolution or whether it's an ordinance, just for transparency, just for future reference, if that's something that council wants to go to toward moving that direction, because the sound in this building is absolutely terrible. So, I mean, that's something that I would look at as well, going into the future, instead of giving it yes or no.
Okay, this is resolution number 2025-53. did pass unanimously. Last item on the agenda is the expansion of our amendment of the scope of services for Landmark County. Do I hear a motion to approve? Got a motion by MC. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Erica. And any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know what's the scope of it.
Sure. So, met with Landmark, on Friday, as you know, we talked about engaging them. We talked about the agreed-upon procedures, which is where they investigate a certain scope and report on it. It started out with a more general scope, looking at some payroll issues, and they began that work. As they got into it, we had this meeting to kind of narrowly focus what the scope would be as outlined on today. So the very last page, it has the specific scope of what we're going to be looking at and reporting on. A number of these items of the payroll have already begun. They are quite a bit through. Others are some areas that are going to continue to look at. But it's outlined there in Exhibit A. We'll say Mr. Reed is there too as well, and they will provide recommendations as well too for the scope of review.
What I'd like to know is at what point do we get a report or some sort of, I know there's some timeline here, but it's been going for a while now.
Yeah. So I have some preliminary information. One of the issues that we're facing is that with the shutdown, some of the information going on from the IRS hasn't come in until the shutdown is over. But notwithstanding that, we're going to have that pretty soon. But there is some reporting deadlines in there. Essentially, they're planning on having the agreed-upon procedures completed by the end of the year, and so we'll have that report in that time. So, where we are right now, it's 2.5 months.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussions?
So we're looking at, you said it's the beginning of the year. So it'd be probably our first work session maybe, depending on the calendar. I guess I would sort of go look for turnaround.
I would say that should be edited to say 26 on the bottom.
Sorry,
on the bottom of the timeline. January 1st through January 15th of 25.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, you're right.
So do you need to, that's what happened.
That's on their engagement. So yeah, we'll get that corrected. I'll do that.
That doesn't amend the actual resolution. It's just the exhibit. It's edited, correct?
Yeah, that's a good catch. We'll make sure that gets changed. Yeah, because that should be within January 15th through 2026.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise a hand. So, there we go. We got unanimous vote. Thank you. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. I thank you all.